this is our second time. And so he came and he said, let me set up everything perfectly because I'm a professional.
Right.
But you got to pay me real money. And I was like, I don't want to pay you real money.
Yeah.
But I did.
Why not barter?
You know what?
Why not barter?
You're going to go with puns?
No.
No, don't.
That's a pun? Wait.
Should we wrap this up?
You know what? One of my really, really good comic friends.
Something did just go very wrong.
One of my favorite people, and he does puns in his stand-up. And he's never asked me whether I like his stand-up. And I never want to tell him because I really genuinely like the guy. But puns to me, like, just kind of curl. I don't think it's smart. And I'm just like, oh, not a pun. And then, of course, somebody like maybe his girlfriend, for example, would then, like, tell me a pun. Like, you should use on stage. And you're a comedian, right? And so I was just like, please, whatever comes after you should use this joke on stage is never going to get on stage. I wish all my friends just, I know you're trying to help. I know.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you weren't always professional. I'm like, yeah, but I feel like now I'm writing on a regular basis and I don't need your help.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Oh, big time. Everything that's like, by the way, you can use this. It's like, that's a gift I did not ask for.
It's a gift I didn't ask for.
Yeah, people just like, feel free to use this. It's like,
feel free. They're like, literally, I got this great joke. Feel free to use this. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a gift I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
My dog gives me gifts I don't ask for.
Yeah.
And the cat brings mice, and the dog gives poopy.
Yeah.
And that, sir, is a gift I'm going to use that.
That's like,
It's kind of a jerk comment, but it's kind of funny at the same time.
Might get us somewhere.
It might just get me canceled with our friendship with, whoever's saying that. Yeah. Are we rolling? You seem to be still tinkering.
We are good now.
Yeah, Chris. How do you spell your last? Is Chris Trew?
Yes.
Chris, like, as in not false, but
Correct.
T-R-E-W.
T-R-E-W.
And do you do stand-up or you do improv or both?
I do both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find improv more fun than stand-up or stand-up more fun than improv?
Yeah, the way I always say it is if I had to choose between like having the apex experience as a stand-up comedian or an improv guy, I'm probably going with the improv. Like, to me, like, the best possible improv show is just more creatively satisfying than a stand-up show. But I love both formats. I do both often, and yeah. We can like cats and dogs.
Yeah,
we can like stand-up and improv.
I studied at Second City as well as whatever the other one was in L.A. And then last time I was in Montreal, I saw the Second City. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most delightful live experiences I've had in a long time. Because they were just so good at what they did. And you didn't know, they didn't know, it was all improv. And because I've studied improv, I understand it's not completely off because there's structure and there's boxes and there's reggae music. But for the audience in general, it was just amazing. And so I like it as an art form. I'm bummed that more people can't make a living with it because it's delightful.
Yeah, it's tough making a living with improv, but it's not impossible. But the first thing that has to happen is more people have to respect it as
an art form.
As an art form and as a business, right? Because there is a structure for a stand-up comedian to go on the road and feature, host, feature, create your own show, et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't really exist for improv, partially because it's so personal, right?
Right.
It's so personal. I personally don't love doing improv with people that I don't know really well.
Oh, interesting.
I'd rather do improv with people that I'm really close with, or complete strangers, never met you before in my entire life. Like, I'm on the like extreme end of the spectrum with that.
Interesting. I'm going to put my headphones on because we have a little background music, so I can kind of hear. If you want headphones, you can. If not, they're right there.
Oh yeah.
Only because there's some background music, and then I'll snuggle the microphone better, and then he'll hate me less.
Okay.
He'll still hate me.
Okay.
But he'll hate me less if I snuggle the microphone.
Yeah. Does my hair look better or less better?
It looks great.
Okay.
I mean, you have so much going on there with the headphones. It's like an ape with headphones, like an intelligent ape man.
Yeah.
But a smart with blue piercing eyes ape. You're very attractive.
Oh, okay.
When you go, that Ape Geico commercial? You
Yes.
could be the ape guy when he dies.
I've heard that before, and I've tried to kill him.
You laugh. One of my businesses we consult with forensics, a real serious business, right? 2 of my competitors in Los Angeles literally died in the last 12 months. So I just raised my rates, and they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
They have to hire me. So one way to get ahead in life is have people die or murder them.
Yeah, the having them die is easier.
Well, it's not easier. It's more pragmatic because there's no jail time.
Exactly. I mean, it's like they say, you want to get something done, you have to pick 2 out of the 3. Like good, fast, and cheap.
I've never heard this. Let's keep going. This is
Oh,
great.
okay. So if you want to get something done, it's like, okay, well, pick 2 of these 3: good, fast, or cheap. Like you're asking me to, if you're like, Chris, I hear you're an improv comedy coach. You help people communicate with more charisma, confidence. I want to work with you one-on-one. I'm not going to directly ask you this, but basically, it's like, well, do you want it done good, fast, or cheap? Pick 2 of those 3. If it's good and fast, it won't be cheap, because that means we're going to be doing a lot of work together in a
Right.
short period of time. If you want it fast and cheap, it won't be good, right? Because you're not paying for what it's worth, et cetera, et cetera.
Like a $5 hooker on the side of the road.
Yes, like a $5 hooker on the side of the road.
So it's going to be fast. It's going to be cheap. It's going to be bad.
Right. Can we still say hooker?
I can say whatever I want.
That
It's
is so
my own
true.
show.
That is so true.
And if they don't like it, they won't listen again.
Yeah, I don't know the origins of the word hooker, so it doesn't sound like it's a good origin.
So
But I don't know what it is.
The first season, I had 3 sex workers, and they were very, very playful, and they didn't mind the work. Now, I wouldn't say you are a hooker, but in the comic context, I think they would laugh at that joke.
Yeah.
I think they're fine with it. They're like, it doesn't matter. We prefer sex workers. But as they change language, it's still similar, but it endears more respect.
Yeah, I totally get
Sorry,
that.
I derailed you with the hooker comment. You were actually making a point.
No, I think that is a really good response to the point I was making. Good, fast, or cheap, right? Sex work is a great example. Good, fast, and cheap. Pick 2.
So what we just did, by the way, is yes and.
Yes.
So we generally he's like, yeah, marry hookers. Da, da, da. So I have a constant challenge with new girlfriends to train them in improv, because they never know when I'm kidding.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, well, actually, it's not that way. And I'm like, I'm kidding, right? And so I have to sort of go through this. Can you just get me like a 30-minute Bart's New Girlfriend improv class so they can just watch the video and they know that I'm kidding, and they're supposed to say, yes, I would love a threesome. Can you bring me 5 guys? Like, I just need them to say yes all the time, because I'm literally kidding.
Yeah,
I'm being playful.
I can totally do that for you. Again, pick
to be-
2 of the 3 things. Good. I mean, it's fast. You picked fast. That's 30 minutes.
Yeah, I want fast.
Okay, you want it to be good?
Of course.
Okay, it's not going to be cheap,
I
Bart.
don't want to train them twice.
It's not going to be cheap.
All right.
But yeah, yes and is crucial, right? Like, this is the big thing that is that's it's like improv's calling card, right? If you just read one article about improv, you get the general sense of like, oh, this yes and thing is important, right? And for the listeners who may not know, it's like the idea is you say yes to something, that's just acknowledging that it's true, acknowledging your reality.
Even if it's not true.
Even if it's not true in the context of an improv scene. And the and is what you add to it. Otherwise, if I wasn't yes-anding you, Bart, this whole interview would be you saying something clever and me going, haha, that's true. And then you saying something else and me going, ha, yeah.
Or you saying, well, actually, I don't agree with being a prostitute and blowjobs are bad. Like, it would stop the conversation. So the lesson people that aren't in comedy, just normal life is, you're keeping rapport. You're agreeing with them, even if they're making a crazy statement. Donald Trump's the best president. Biden's the best president. Yes. And here's what I also think about this thing. So you're not breaking rapport, and you're moving the conversation forward.
Totally.
And people forget that, because then they have awkward silences because you just stop the energy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the most important thing is the yes is locking in acceptance, right? If you say so-and-so is the best president of all time, I'm like, my yes is acknowledging that that's what you believe.
Great point.
I'm not saying yes, he or she is, because I think that's the mental block that a lot of people have with improv. It's actually not saying like that you're just right. I'm saying that I heard you and that is your reality. So that's why this stuff has a real life implications no matter what you're doing. As long as you're communicating with people, if you have a job or a passion that involves communication, you can benefit from an improv class.
Well, what I notice when I get outside of Los Angeles is people aren't familiar with this concept. So a lot of artists, a lot of creative people, we kind of know this, and we're playful. And even at dinner and coffee, we're goofing off. And you kind of sense when people are goofing off. If you get outside of New York, Austin, LA, they're not familiar with this sort of playful personality, and Montreal, of course, included. And then they kind of think you're serious. Do you have that reaction? You're in New Orleans, right? Do they not understand your comic timing and think that you're just weird?
Well, New Orleans is is a unique bird, right? I mean, it's got its own thing. It's its own country, basically. Like, I'm good in New Orleans. Like, I don't run into that problem, really. But I do know what you're saying, though. Like, some people just don't have that playful gene. And here's the thing, Bart. When you get older, you start trying to solve more problems than you are. Like that becomes a bigger part of your life than being curious. And so that's why you stop being playful. You stop being interesting. A lot of people stop being interesting in their like 30s, 40s, right? Sometimes even earlier. And because these adults stop investing in the playful side, right? We get locked into the relationships, the family, the job, and that's why improv is this like beam of light for so many people, because it's like, oh wait, you can go and be playful. You can go and learn a new communication skill, and it can make you more money in your sales job, your speaking career, whatever. You don't have to be pursuing comedy to be good at improv.
I think the market is old folks home, because the light, and I wish I was, thank you for the hearty laugh, but the light is dimming in so many of their lives because they've experienced, and then you see like this 7 or 8 year old, and she's like, let's go play. Hey, Uncle Bart, let's play a game. And there's this joy to life of an innocent person compared to a veteran human being that has sort of lost the playfulness. I love that concept for improv for older people, and I'm including myself in that. Anybody over 40.
So what if every adult in the world got into a habit of taking an improv class once a month? It's like, if you can get over the fear of public speaking, which I know is a big deal for a lot of people, if you can get over that, if you can get over the part that is like, this is only what comedians do, and if you can just give it a shot, you will learn pretty quickly that there is so much more to learning improv than just making jokes. In fact, when you get into a class, as you know, if you're just a joke machine, just like in conversations, if it's joke, you're going to wear the other person out. They're going to stop listening to you, and then you're not going to connect. You're not going to have any sort of emotional context for the scene or the interaction. So improv teaches you how to do all those things.
Well, to put it in context, if you watch some of your favorite comedian shows like The Office, those actors are playing it really straight. The comedy comes from them taking themselves seriously.
Yeah.
So the great improv, the audience is really loving when they're really buying into the narrative that they just got off a spaceship. But if you punch it up, it almost feels like you're trying too hard.
Yes, and that is the biggest reason why most people take an improv class and then run away, or why people watch one improv show and think, oh, I don't like improv, because they saw one knucklehead make like a corny joke or a bad pun or whatever when they had an opportunity to do a grounded scene. Yeah, you're on a spaceship, but you're breaking up with your girlfriend in space. Don't worry about the space puns. Just like have this weird interaction on the spaceship. That is funny enough. And that's like my lifelong journey, is to get people to like reverse the course. All people are like, improv is lame, improv is dorky, and it's like, there's a lot of dorky and lame improv. There's also a lot of dorky and lame stand-up. And I mean, but people don't see one bad stand-up comic and think, I don't like stand-up comedy.
That's an interesting observation.
They don't hear one bad song and go, I don't like music. But this happens all the time in improv. They see one bad improv troupe and they're like, ooh, that was rough. Improv's not for me. It's like, well, these kids are in college and are bad listeners, and they're wearing matching t-shirts. I also think it sucks. Come watch my show.
One of my favorite comedians, named Greg Wilson, and when he was 19, he had an improv group in Dallas. They called Ad Libs, and they would all come out in little tight Hooter shirts and orange pants and just rock out to the audience, and it was ridiculous. And he's a little chubby back then, and the audience was like, this is so much fun. Like, who is going to make such an arse out of themselves at the beginning of the show? And that little group of friends went on to make movies and do fun stuff and be really playful. So I think that there is a lot of lessons in improv.
Yeah, totally. And you can do like overly silly, absurd stuff like that, but there's probably some, I think that their commitment to it was probably impressive. And
Really was impressive.
and like I'm sure there was some context for it too, but it's like improv desperately needs a rebrand, in my opinion. Like, I wish that I can come up with a word, and I'll figure this out, but improv needs a rebrand, because too many people hear improv and they think whose line is it anyway, which is great.
But it's also 20 years old, right? That's an older show.
It's an older show, yeah. So I'm just excited to figure out how to make improv more accessible to everyone.
What's your worst experience being an improv teacher or performer? Like when it just hit the rails and wasn't fun?
So Luckily, I don't have the story,
Good for
because
you.
that would be a nightmare. I'm
Right.
glad I'm not like, yeah, Steve, when Steve, it's not like that. But you do get people who just don't understand that this is not about you exhausting yourself and your teammates in the audience with jokes. It's like
Right.
to not have the ability to slow down and connect and provide some emotional context and that's really sad to me when someone's just like, no, my safe place is making bad jokes. I'm like, that's unfortunate.
Right.
You must have a hard time like dating and networking. 'Cause this is hard. But those people, it's heartbreaking, because if they just realize if they just slow down a little bit,
Well, they just stop trying too hard.
they
Like
stop.
listen,
Yes.
and answer the question.
Yep.
I think that's the hardest part of improv, is not trying to be funny, is listening and then answering the question.
Well, that's why a lot of stand-up comedians, and I have a foot in both worlds. That's why a lot of like pure stand-up comedians actively dislike improv,
Right.
Because because they were told that they can't make the jokes. It's like the jokes just come in a different form. The jokes are more truthful and more absurd and have a different type of build. But I think that's why stand-up comedians, most of them, have a weird reaction to improv.
Well, and crowd work is a lot of improv stuff. You're making references, but it's you can do it, and if it doesn't work, you can come back to what's working.
Yeah.
So it's fun to go off book and play with the crowd, and it is yes and it's also referencing. But it's also, you find the funny in the audience member being authentic. If the audience member tries to give you a joke, it almost always dies. Like, hey, what do you do, sir? I like to chase cattle and you're like, no, dude, just you work at a farm? Cool. Like, that becomes entertaining, and when they try too hard, it usually is distracting.
Yeah, and isn't that true for everything in life? Again, like a first date, a networking event, a job interview, a sales call. If you're trying too hard, that energy is exhausting and it's unfun. So I don't think you're going to get a second date. I don't think you're going to get the sale. I don't think you're going to get the job. Like, improv teaches you how to like unattach from outcomes and how to be more relaxed in any high pressure situation.
I think it's a good message. It's interesting. I usually have like a whole list of words in my head when I look at somebody's handwriting, but it's not coming up like a whole word, because you write very pretty and very structured.
Ooh.
Like it's and as manly as you are, it's a very pretty handwriting, I must say.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it's all this block printing stuff. A couple of things that does come to mind is that you have a very healthy ability to handle criticism in a respectful way, but you're prideful. So there's a need for respect from people, but it's nice that you're not too sensitive, because in the career you end, sometimes it bombs, and you can't take it personally. That's a great quality. Is that the way you are in relationships? You can have constructive criticism and give feedback?
Oh, for sure. And to clarify, you're saying you got that from the handwriting?
Yeah, the D's super skinny, and it's really tall, which tends to be respect versus personal. Like, I want people, which people with a desire for respect tend to overachieve because they want status. So people will work for status instead of money, because status is a stronger motivator. And at some point, you're like, I need status and money as you get older, and then you get both. But it's always a motivator, and also people tend to be more honest, and they tend to overachieve. So it's generally a good quality.
Cool. I'll take that. That resonates.
And you write smaller than other people, which is focus, which is concentration. I wouldn't call it introverted by any means, but some people confuse focus with being introverted.
Okay, that is awesome. I definitely that definitely feels like me.
Do people confuse that? Because when you sit and work at something, you're focused, so you're ignoring the world.
Yes.
And then they think, he doesn't like me, he doesn't want to talk to me. You're like, no, I'm working on this.
Totally. Yeah, I get a lot of, Chris leaves the party early. Chris isn't going out after the show.
Right.
And oftentimes I think it's because of that. It's like, I want to go and focus and try and do some deep work on something meaningful.
So one of my brands is authenticity and truth and freedom and that kind of stuff. But you have, when I can get your attention, you're very transparent. So which means no secrets, no lying, but it's not like you're going to volunteer that information unless you've decided you trust them. And then it's very transparent. But I had someone in the chair this week, which was, the truth was an optional thing. It was optional. If I feel like it benefits me to tell them the truth, I will. If I tell a lie, I'll do that too. And so I don't think you realize people exist like that. Like, there are people that literally go, do I want to lie to this person or not? What can I get out of it? Your brain doesn't think that way. You're just honest.
Yeah, that seems like a wild thing to be able to think about in a conversation.
Isn't that odd?
Yeah.
Well, this is what's weird about this particular skill that I have is our guests sort of feel a little naked, and they're like, yeah, I actually am a liar because people are not trustworthy and people aren't trustworthy than my dad, and it goes down this rabbit hole of really interesting stuff. Wow. So you're honest is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And then the signature, maybe you have some unresolved resentment at religion.
Oh, okay. I did grow up Catholic. I would not say unresolved resentment.
Do you still like being Catholic?
No. My parents, when we moved, the first time we moved, my parents were like, did one of the coolest things. They were like, we're not taking you to a church. We're not making you go to a church. We'll take you to anyone you want to go to.
That's very enlightened.
And
parents.
that was like junior high school.
Did you choose Church of Satan?
Well, I was already there. It chose me. No, we went to one non-denominational church as a family, and then none of us ever went to another church ever again.
That's interesting. I think I don't have it anymore. It actually left my handwriting because I was conscious, like, oh, that's weird. I don't need to be mad at people that taught me stuff when I was 12. I was just remembering at summer camp in Texas. Are we okay with someone's looking around?
No, I just thought of something, but I'll remember it. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Are you sure?
My thought bubble. I did not mean for my thought bubble to come between us.
The whole staff just looked around like, what the hell
No,
is there?
I
a
looked
bug
up.
coming up?
There is a bug. It's a beautiful thought bug. I still got it, Bart. I didn't mean to derail
I'll
you.
just
Keep
finish
going.
it. I'll make it even shorter. So I'm at Church of Christ camp, and it was like 109 degrees, and they're like, you can't wear shorts. You have to wear long pants because long pants on the women, you'll want to have sex with them. And I'm like, I really just don't want to sweat balls. Like, it's very simple. I'm 12. I'm not even thinking about it. So you couldn't swim together. You couldn't have long. And I'm like, I don't think God wants me to sweat. And so I just began to be like, I don't think these rules are necessary. That's where mine came from. Thought bubble.
Thought bubble. Love the story. That was beautiful.
You're sweet to say that, but it wasn't that great.
I thought it was fine. I also know that you started to rush because the anticipation for what just happened
I just
to me.
needed to say the word sweaty balls.
You sure did.
That was fun.
I like the word long pants. That's what I liked a lot. Okay. I just thought of something as you were saying this. This is not something that I have thought about very many times, but I have a memory, 2nd grade at St. Charles Borromeo, a big Catholic school, of not learning to take the host, the body of Christ, and wet bread.
The cracker?
Yeah, the cracker. I have always disliked wet bread. Like, my friends in college knew that if they gave me like really wet bread that I would like gag, right? I'm remembering now that I was gagging on the host in 2nd grade, and my teacher hit me. My teacher
Physically hit you?
with a book, with a big book. And I had to change schools.
While you had the bread in your mouth?
No, after I threw up. So, like, I threw up the body of Christ. So this is like a whatever age you are, 8, I don't know how old, 2nd grade. I know it was 2nd grade. I threw up the body of Christ, and then I remember thinking that my teacher at this Catholic school thinks that something is really wrong with me. Like,
because he thought you were getting so
I'm like rejecting.
Did he actually believe that the piece of bread turned into the body of Christ?
Bart, I think they do believe that.
We're laughing, but people listening are like, well, of course, it's magic, and the wine turns to his blood. That seems farcical right now. We're talking about
seems
it.
Wild.
It seems farcical. If I said, hey, there's a magic monkey, and he's going to take this water, and he's going to drink it, and it's going to turn into urine, you'd go, that's a cute story and gross.
Yeah.
But why would we do that, and why would you drink blood every day? That sounds like cannibalism, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, cannibalism actually sounds cooler than religion. I would go to the Church of Cannibalism. Would I?
No.
I would.
No.
Okay, I would.
Because you can't, you gag too easily.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you imagine all the bones and the toes and stuff?
Wait, cannibals eat the bones?
No, they pick the bone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, don't you know Jeffrey Dahmer's story? Like that, this guy literally boiled it, and then he saved the bones.
Well, isn't that what we do now with bone marrow? Like, people love bone marrow now.
I had a date with this girl. She's like, I'm a foodie. I'm like, I don't know what a foodie is. Let's go to see it. No, I'm a foodie. This restaurant has bone marrow. And I'm like, well, first of all, it's $100, and it's the shit that they wouldn't serve at the barbecue restaurant. Why are we doing this? I'm a foodie. And it was literally, you had to take this bone, and it wasn't cooked well, and it was just like dried cum inside a bone,
yeah.
and they call it bone marrow, $100.
Dried cum, $100.
I didn't go out with her again. Can you believe it?
I'm disappointed.
Really?
I wanted the second date story. I wanted a second date story.
I don't like bone marrow or fruities.
Okay. Would you ever call something in sex bone marrow? Like, would you ever use that as like a sex
No,
thing?
because I have a bad reference for it now.
Okay.
I probably would skip that.
Okay.
Yeah, skip that.
Okay,
But
I'll
I
cross
don't-
that off the list.
I mean, the idea of someone saying I'm a foodie and then buy me something really gross and then make me pay for it feels weird, and I don't have that big of a dietary palate anyway.
Yeah, someone saying I'm a foodie in any context is going to be tough. It's going to be tough for a lot of us.
Are you married? Are you dating? What's your status?
I'm nothing.
You're asexual. You know, that's a thing now. You could check the box asexual.
I don't exactly know what that means. I know that I'm not that because it doesn't sound like something I am.
So someone defined it to me. You know, I'm like, well, listen, I don't understand. I understand bisexual. I understand homosexual. But what is it? They're like, well, it's a term which means I don't do sex. I'm like, so you're celibate. So you can't get laid. No, I don't have any sexual thoughts whatsoever. I'm non-sexual. And I was like, well, that's weird because we're kind of on the planet and part of our DNA is to procreate. And I'm like, all right, you're asexual. This date's over.
But you were on a date.
I made that up. I don't know.
Is there an asexual app?
Why?
Asexual?
For what purpose would that serve? Who's going to pay for that?
I don't know.
I'm highly motivated to not get laid. Let me open this app up, the asexual app. Chris Trew's asexual dating app. Now,
Hey, do not clip that out of this episode. That's not true. That's not true, Bart.
you know what? You don't have a big sex drive. Your Y's and G's are kind of normal, but I don't know why, as a charming guy like you don't have 4 or 5 boyfriends or girlfriends, whatever you're into.
I didn't say I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't say I didn't.
You acted like, eh.
Yeah, I just don't like talking
But
about.
they just said, I don't answer the question, dude. That's fair.
Okay, well, I sent you a cookie bouquet this morning that said, "Do not ask me about my sex life." And
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it?
No, it's weird. Girls, did you not get the bouquet? You ate
No
my
one?
bouquet of
Oh,
cookies.
okay, this guy ate a damn bouquet of cookies.
Oh, well,
That was a lot of cookies, man. You okay?
We'll scratch that list. Chris, how do we, if people are interested, now a lot of people are not from this country, so they probably won't be customers, but they can learn stuff, right?
Sure.
Is it hellyescreative.com?
That's correct. Hell Yes Creative is my company. It's where I do all my comedy shows out of. I run a festival called Hell Yes Fest every November in New Orleans, and I teach improv classes to anyone that is interested in learning how to.
And there's probably articles and videos for people that don't live there. They can check it out.
Yep.
All right, man. Hell yes, creative. Chris, you've been a great guest, man.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks, y'all. Congrats on all your success. This is a fun studio, and best of luck to y'all. I'm going to rate and review it right now while I'm still sitting here.
Here, just open up the Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Fantastic. Didn't get the cookies. Screw
Wait,
it.
are you rating and reviewing me?
Yeah? Is that okay?
Oh, no. Wait, podcast guests should be able to podcasters should be able to rate and review their guests.
Well, they do. It's just that if you suck, it doesn't air.
Right, okay. You vote with your dollars. I get it.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, y'all.